Good morning and welcome to Coffee with the Sarlos. I'm Kelly.
Good morning, I'm Karen.
Happy March, everyone. One whole fucking year.
Oh, is this our COVID anniversary? Is that what you're saying
Sure.
this is?
Oh my God, I can't believe it's March 2021. We'll start off with show notes today as usual. Our Evening with Medium events is not running this year as far as we know. We've constantly said that we'll keep you updated if we know more information about it. As of right now, protocols for our area are not good enough in our standards to hold an event like that. So we also appreciate, I just wanted to say, people's enthusiasm for the events, but also people have suggested that we do a Zoom event for a number of reasons. That is not something that we're interested in doing, but thank you for wanting to be a part of it. If and when we can run it again, we will let you know.
Kelly and I have a second podcast series called Sips of Sanity. Those are short 10 to 15-minute podcast shows. They run the very first week of every single month, Monday to Friday, and our topic is emotional and intuitive intelligence tools. The very first show in each series, sorry about that, the very first show in every single series is on YouTube and at the website by sarlo.com. The remaining 4 shows can be found at patreon.com/by Sarlo.
And Patreon is a membership platform for anyone who's interested. It's a monthly toolkit for emotional and intuitive intelligence. So Sips of Sanity is just one of the benefits. Karen writes a monthly blog, which is really wonderful. It's often focused on the intuitive gifts themselves and how she uses that in her day-to-day life. We also have habit trackers. We have reflective questions. We have guided journeys and discussions. We've also started a really dynamic book club for people who are interested. You can join us there if you want to be a part of that. And we have a top tier for patrons where you have an opportunity to win a half-hour free session every single month. So we do a draw each month for those top patrons to see who gets their free session. Patreon.com/by Sarlo.
Kelly and I also have our own separate private practices. We do our sessions by telephone, Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, and WhatsApp for people all over the world. The most commonly asked question is, if you're not here locally in our city, will your session be as accurate anywhere in the world? And the answer is yes, because where you're sitting doesn't make any difference to Kelly and I, because it's our relationship with the spirit world that gives you your accuracy, not where you're sitting.
Good. And then last but not least, we have gift certificates available. So if any of this piqued your interest and you would like to gift a session to someone, as Karen mentioned, anywhere in the world, you can email us at info@bysarlo.com. We can do up a printable format of that gift certificate if you want to print that out yourselves. If you're local to North Bay, Ontario, Canada, we can print that out and put it in the mailbox. That was a really heavy sigh, Karen. You know you have a microphone in front of you?
Oh, I just had a sigh of happiness.
Okay.
I just had a moment of being almost like seeing us, like in a mirror, like, you know that expression, fly on the wall? And I just had a full moment of really feeling content.
Cool.
Like, just with life, just, I don't know, when you just know you're where you're supposed to be, and that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know. And it was just a real, filling up my lungs.
Very nice.
I think it burst over and filled up my heart too. Yeah.
Happy for you.
Okay, so today's session is a client session, and it's about a woman, and her name is Michelle, and her dog's name is Sophie. And those are their real names because Michelle consented to me using everything in her session.
Lovely.
And as a result, Kelly, as you know, but we'll just explain for people that are listening for the first time, you and I don't have memories for the sessions. So some people are afraid, if I book and I'm from North Bay and they go and do a podcast, they're going to tell my story. And it's like fat chance. Because in order to do that, we have to have your consent. And in order to do that, we also need you. To do the creative content, I had to actually sit down and interview Michelle over the phone. And as some listeners will know, some people send the voice recording and I get to listen to it and I get to write all the notes out to make sure that everything is accurate. So when she did that, I asked her, I said, would you like to be anonymous? Because that's one of the questions. And she said, no, I consent to my name and I'd like you. And then she emailed me afterwards and said, I forgot to give you my dog's name. It was Sophie.
Aw.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of her session, geez, she just started by saying, I'd like you to tell me what you get about my dog. Now, when the spirit guides come in to say to me, which dog, Michelle has a dog that's crossed over for me and a dog that's alive, but she doesn't tell me this. She just says, can you tell me what you get about my dog? And doesn't explain that there's two, like right off the bat. She did confirm that after. And I said, I have a dog that's crossed over, so this is a medium. And she's here. And she said, oh, that's correct. She said, I have two dogs and they're both female and I'm looking for the dog that's crossed over. So she validated that right off the bat. And I said, Michelle, your dog that's crossed over has a message straight out of the gate and it's really simple and right to the point. She wants me to tell you that she knows that you had to put her down. This wasn't a car accident. This wasn't, I don't know, there's just different ways. Some of them go missing. They don't know that the dog has passed. There's just a variety of ways. But she says, the dog says to me that you had to put her down, had to book an appointment. This was planned. And she's coming through to say that you made the right decision and that she's grateful for the decision that you made. And I think that's important because some people might automatically assume in their minds that this is an old dog or that this is a sick dog or that there's a variety. It could be that it had an injury. It could be it got hit by a car. It could have been in a fight. There's a whole bunch of different things that happen. And I'd like to explain it because sometimes I think it's good for people to hear that you and I have to really listen to the spirit guides in order to understand, or we don't. We just don't understand. We just repeat what we're told. So then Sophie says to me, I have a male dog with me here on this side. So I'm trying to validate that my mom still has a dog with her and that I have a dog with her. The one that's with her is female. The one that's with me is a male. So I asked Michelle that. I said, is that correct about there being 3 dogs? And she had to think for a minute. And then she said, yeah. She says, that's correct. She says, I believe that that's my husband's dog when he was a child. And so the male dog comes in with Sophie and says to me, I just want to let her husband know. I don't think he referred to him as my dad. Just tell him, because he would have been a kid at the time, tell him that I'm fine. And I thought, that's a really general statement. Am I supposed to just say that? That's kind of...
Yeah, we don't like those messages.
Oh, we don't. As intuitives, we don't like that because it's not there isn't enough meatiness there. And I thought, I guess I'll just say it. So I repeated it. I said, Michelle, the male dog just wants your husband to know that he's fine. And she goes, that's perfect. She goes, that's exactly what he would need to hear because he didn't feel good about what happened to his dog when he was younger. And it's never sat well with him. So just to hear that came through today is going to mean a lot. And that's a perfect message.
Yeah, it's neat how some people might want less details because of what they're still trying to process, and hearing I'm fine can be just enough. Enough that they can process and keep going with the session, not go into a meltdown or a shutdown.
Good point. Then as I had my pen and paper in front of me, I wrote down toot and toots on the page. Just, I don't even know. I mean, it's just...
T-O-O-T?
Yeah.
And then one with an S?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote it twice. Toot and toots. And so I said, Michelle, and just as I'm writing down male dog is fine, over in the corner, I write toot toots. And then I wrote a couple of other messages on the page. And then I looked over and I heard Sophie say, tell her about toot toots. You wrote that on the page. And I looked over and I thought, oh yeah, I did. And it's important for people to hear it that way because when you're doing automatic writing and doodling, not just automatic writing, but it's, when you doodle, you put things in different spots on the page. And I've learned over the years of doing the doodling that that's significant. Don't play with something that works. So I just put it down, and then I said, Michelle, I said, I don't know why. I said, but I wrote toots. And she goes, what did you do? Just in a very sweet way. And I said, I wrote toots. And she says, Karen, that was our nickname for our dog. That is a nickname for our dog that crossed, for a dog here on this side, and for our grandson.
Wow.
And I mean, I almost don't want to say this in a story, because then I don't want anybody listening to go, oh my God, let's call Kelly and Karen, they get nicknames. So what's the nickname for my cat and my canary? I don't want to be asked for nicknames. I don't like doing that. But, because then you're just sitting there trying to wait for a nickname.
Well,
Honest to God, Kelly?
Some people dismiss the other messages too when they're waiting for the nicknames. And I will say to people, I'm not good at that. I think I've got 1, maybe 2 nicknames over the years, and not because someone asked me, because it just came up in a session and I was happy to just give the message. And then they would say, as Michelle did for you, that was a nickname.
And you know what? How would I ever really have known if, like, I can honestly say that if somebody said, what was my dog's nickname? And I heard Toot, I don't think I would have said it.
Yep.
I think I would have thought that I misheard, or that I was just not getting it.
I think too, like, people don't, I don't know where I want to go with this, but like the ridiculous nicknames that Eric and I have given our dogs, I would never expect a medium to be able to say, oh, Fluffernutter.
Right.
And also, you asked me about a nickname for a dog, but I'm seeing a turkey.
Yeah, you do call Parker turkey.
Yeah, I don't know. I get that it's important to people, but I also just think it's not the be all end all.
Yeah.
Especially when you get a message like I'm fine.
Yes. And I put more value to trying to hear the messages about I'm fine than I do to a nickname. But then, having said that, obviously I'm not telling the whole truth, because I wrote down toot and toots.
I know, but I think what we were both trying to say is that if the guides naturally give it to us, we'll absolutely channel a message unfiltered. Mm-hmm. But it's not something where we sit in front of the guides and go, okay, now's the time in the session where you need to give me the nickname. Mm-hmm. The guides would laugh in our faces.
Yeah, it's so true. So I was nervous.
Okay, human, you think you're in control?
Yeah, I was nervous to share that, because it was like, oh,
you can give me the hard stuff.
And then I see these nice dog teeth. You know how you guys always talk about how...
We also call Parker denture dog.
Because he has such white teeth. Mm-hmm. Well, as I'm telling her about toots, I see these dog teeth, and they're just like Parker's. They're nice and white and clean, and it's like literally like a smile. Mm-hmm. And I know some people would say my dog smiles, and other people would be like, I don't see that. It's just a dog's mouth. But some dogs actually have a smile. Mm. So I get Sophie coming in with this dog smile and these bright, clean, gorgeous teeth. And I said, and I just started laughing.
And was it Sophie or the male dog?
Sophie.
Okay.
So Sophie comes in with this nice big smile, and I said, Michelle, I said, I have no idea why, but I'm only getting her mouth because I couldn't see all of her face. I said, I think that she has a nice smile, but I don't know why I'm telling you this. I said, it's just a lot of teeth. Very nice and white. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, this is really great. She goes, because she had super white teeth. We always commented about how nice her smile was, and that she smiled. For a dog, she smiled. Mm-hmm. And she had nice, white, clean teeth. She says it was just a thing about her that was something that would be remarkable for me and would just be an affirmation for me. Mm-hmm. And I think, I hope I'm getting this right because I didn't write it down in my notes and I don't know why I didn't do that. So I hope I'm going to do Michelle and Sophie justice here. But I think she's like a golden retriever. She might have to correct me on that, but I think she's like a I would call that a mid-sized to larger dog, because a large dog for me is like a Great Dane. So then Sophie says to me, I want to talk about the fact that Michelle wants to validate that I'm around her. And she says that I am. She says, and I just want to let her know that I am making my effort to let her know that I love her and that I'm around my mom. And she says, and I'm going to use the senses. So I said, the senses? And she goes, yeah. She says, could you write down on the page that my mom, so put down Michelle and then validation or, whatever. I can't remember exactly what the word was, but that she sees me. So she thinks in the bedroom that she sees me. So I wrote that down. And then she says that she hears me. And I said, Michelle, I'm writing down the senses, and that she's validating that certain senses are good for you, others are not. And she goes, that's true. And I said, so she says that you think that you see her, and she's validating you do. And she goes, I do. And I said, she also says that in the bedroom that you think that you feel her. And she goes, yes, I swear to God that she's scratching the side of the bed. And I'm like, well, she says that she is. And I said, but she says that you can hear her. And she goes, that's correct. She says, because there are times where I think I've heard her bark. And I said, well, she's trying to affirm for you that you do hear that. Then she says that you also have inner knowings when she's around. And she goes, absolutely. I do get these feelings that she's in the room or that she's in the house. And I said, but you don't smell her. I said, you don't get the smell. And she goes, that's correct. I was thrilled that Sophie chose the senses and then went through and said, yes, 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 no. And that she even said in the room and where a couple of them occurred, to give Michelle those validations. Because Michelle absolutely loves Sophie. Her and her husband just loved them.
I love
her.
Sophie.
Yeah. And here she is. I mean, I'd never had that before. I thought that was just a cool, unique way that Sophie wanted to come through and say, I'm going to validate for Michelle through her senses. Because some people want to know, not by their senses, but did they drop a dime? Are they the raven? Are they the bird? Are they the squirrel? And that's all good too, because they do all of these things for us because they love us and they want to show they're around. But Sophie was using her senses.
And because they can. Some of them show off. Remember, one of my favorite ones you ever told was when the dad came in and he flew in through the backyard like a bird, but he overshot the yard and landed in the other one. That was fantastic.
Right. Oh, I love that story. Oh my God, I've got to go back and re-listen to that one. Oh, you just brought back such a fun memory again. I don't know what's happening today. My heart just keeps getting filled up.
That's good.
I get rushes of it. This is so nice. I have to thank Sophie and Michelle. Then Sophie says to me, I'm just going to put myself into a sit. And she says, and I'm going to let my mom's mom come in. And so she just puts herself into a dog sit. And I said, Michelle, I said, she's in a sit position like this. And she just kind of laughed. That was cute. And I said, because your mom's here and she's allowing your mom to come in. And I said, would you like your mom to come in today? Is that correct that she's passed? And so people might think, if they hear that, well, aren't you medium? Why don't you know she's passed? Well, we do. So you and I see the mom come in with the dog, but we ask for validation from the client so that they can just say yes. And hopefully, as we go through a session, they see how often they say yes and that we're just asking for the validation. I just found that years ago when I first started doing this, I wasn't asking. I was just saying things. And so many people were saying that it was too fast, too much, and that they couldn't digest it.
Oh, wow.
And that they just needed some time. And one woman said to me, have you ever considered asking it as a question, but just always expecting a yes answer and just setting that as your precedence so that people can participate and that they can take the information you give, process it and go, yes. And so I just started doing that, and that's been my process. So it's not that I'm asking, it's that I'm expecting every client to say yes. So then her mom came in and she began her part of the session, and she's feeding treats to Sophie. I thought that was really cute. And she says, well, I'm Michelle's mom. And she says, and I want her to know that I have Sophie with me. This is the point, is that we're together, because some people have beliefs that animals don't have souls. And some people have these beliefs that there is a heaven and that pets don't go there. Yeah, I know that's upsetting, eh? And so that's just all wrong, just like there's no hell, just like there's no limbo, just like there's no purgatory, just like there's no Satan, just like there's no devil, that these are just things that humans made up. So her mom says to me, I'm giving her treats, and I just want you to notice that these are not dog treats out of a package like you and Kelly buy for Parker or for Winston, but these are human treats. This is human food. Michelle confirmed that they didn't give her packaged treats, like from a vet store or Walmart, but that, in fact, that they gave her homemade treats or human food. And I'm not certain, Kelly, if that means that they made dog treats per se, or if it meant that the treats were like a piece of chicken or a carrot and, food scraps and stuff like that. And then her mom says, she says, I'd like you to tell Michelle to let go of all the worrying. She goes, I'm concerned. She says that she's just in a pattern of worrying. But that's all she said. And I asked her if she wanted to go into that more, and she goes, no. She goes, I don't. She goes, it's just what I want to say to my daughter. She says, just tell her that. And so I said to Michelle, that exact message. I said, Michelle, your mom doesn't have a lot to say other than that she's asking you to let go of the worrying right now. And she says that you'll understand that. And she goes, oh, okay, thank you. She goes, that's good. She says, I understand what she's referring to. So this is a situation where it isn't prove it. Michelle already knows what her mom's referring to. And she just accepts it as, wow, that is what I just needed to hear. That meets my needs. I'm done. That's all I needed. Whereas I know with other clients for us, that even though that is exactly what they need to hear, they know what their mom means in that particular statement, that particular day, that they still are like, well, what does she mean? And it's just that unless we can prove it as a validation, even though they know that's exactly what they needed to hear and it's what soothes them, or just like, oh, mom's here and she said that, okay, I'm okay. That some people dismiss that, and it becomes more about us as mediums, and that they need to be in the mode of just prove it to me.
Well, it's a fight mode.
Yeah.
It's not even really about proving it, because there's no end to the proving.
Yeah. And Michelle wasn't about that at all. She just was like, nope, that sounds about right, and was good with that message. Then her mom says to me, I'm done. She says, I'd like for her dad to come in. And I said, oh, Michelle, your dad's passed. And she goes, he is? Yeah. And I said, your dad would like to come in next. And she goes, I really like that. She goes, okay, go ahead. What's my dad have to say? So her dad came in and he said to me, Michelle has a true heart. I see you, I love you, and I value you. And he says, Michelle struggles with people pleasing. He says, but I want her to know that even though she's struggling with the people pleasing and she's trying now to become aware that she's doing it, that underneath the problem of the people pleasing is a genuine, beautiful heart. And I want her to know that that is who she is, and that there's not a struggle. She's not to doubt her heart and how genuine she is. It's the people pleasing that she just needs to address, because that's separate. Those are beliefs. He says, but I want her to hear that from her dad. So I repeated that to her. And when I said that to her, she just said, thank you so much. And I said, that's it. Our half hour is done. It's over. And at the end of that, her comment was something to the effect of that it met her needs. And I'm going to word it that way. I don't mean that it was big or that we went on and on talking about it meeting her needs. She was just very simple. And I remember asking her afterwards when she said she agreed to this becoming a podcast. I said, how did you feel about this being a half-hour session? What you got? There's 2 dogs in here and your mom and dad. And she said it met my needs.
Well, it kind of sounds like the sigh that you had at the beginning of the session.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right.
Just like an I'm okay.
I think it's a good story to show what it's like when we get a client that is really in what I would call a session where she asked for something. So she was specific and then went truly open just to hearing what came through. So she started by saying, what do you get about my dog? And then from there, just allowed the spirit guides to meet her needs. And just the energy. This was such a joyful, easy session for me. It wasn't a trying to get things or where clients want proof. What do you get? Well, can you prove that? Like, I don't think some clients realize when and I'll say with certain energy, that some people are confrontational in it. And it makes it challenging energetically for us to constantly get that information in. And yet for other people, it's just so easy. It's just so light and just so joyful to do. And that just simply I don't mean that she was falling all over herself complimenting me. I'm not looking for compliments. You're just looking that you're giving the correct information and that you're meeting their needs. And this was one of those sessions.
That's lovely. I'm happy for all of you.
Me too. That's it.
Cool. That's a great way to start the Saturday morning.
Yeah. And the other thing is that I'm just really seeing a lot more people calling for pets. And I got to tell you, Kelly, I love those sessions.
Same.
Whether it's medical intuitive or medium or whatever it is, I just love them.
When I do our walks together or I'm just out and I see people with their pets, I always think to myself, oh, that would be so fun to channel. You know, when you see them riding shotgun or you see them dressed up in like a vest and booties or just the way people treat and care for their animals, I always think, oh, that'd be so fun to channel when that dog is dead. Just because of the way that they felt loved and cared for and included in the core of the family, not just the peripheral.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good, like a beautiful message that people get when their pet crosses over, is to hear Sophie say to her mom, Michelle, how happy, how content, how loved she was. And then just to know that grandma's there and grandpa's there and that she's getting these treats and this particular kind of treat. Like, I just think of how much comfort that is. And I think we're looking for that same kind of comfort when we lose someone we love, a person as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if you guys have questions or comments about today's show, you can email us at info@bysarlo.com. We do welcome you to join us on patreon.com/bysarlo if you're interested in a monthly toolkit for your emotional or intuitive intelligence. And if you have the time and the energy today, we always invite you to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can ring the bell just to get notifications so you don't miss a video. Have a beautiful weekend.